Hi everyone, welcome and thanks for attending today's IBM Middleware User Community webcast. My name is Kelsey Tipcherney and I'll be moderating today's webcast. Our topic is Application Performance Management and DevOps, an insurance industry perspective. All phone lines are in listen-only mode. We will have a question and answer session towards the end of the presentation. However, feel free to ask a question at any time during the presentation using the Q&A widget located on your computer screen. Tomorrow we will have the recording and slides of today's presentation available on the IBM Middleware User Community website for you to access. You'll receive a follow-up email with a link to download them, so stay tuned for that. Now I'd like to introduce our speaker for today. We have joining us Aaron Tobin. He's an offering manager with IBM APM Portfolio. Thanks, Aaron. I'll now hand the floor over to you.
Good. Hey, thanks, Kelsey. And hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. So today, what I would like to cover in this webcast is APM, Application Performance Management, and DevOps, and with a focus to start off with on the insurance industry. And partially what's coming, the information on the insurance industry perspective is that IBM had put on a global study put on by IBM's key market development and insights team, where we conducted this global study that looked at adoption, usage patterns, impact of APM and DevOps, asking people from all different industries, all different segments, all different roles within those industries and segments. And what came back was around 519 participants, of which, in the case of this study, over 25 insurance companies participated as well. So what I'm going to do is start off with, here's some of the things that came out of this study that were particularly focused on industry. And so when I start off, what came out as the highest level from most of the industry, most of the insurance industry teams, was that like most industries, you're grappling with disruption in a really demanding and a competitive environment. And that disruption is really focused on, there's extensive compliance, there's regulation requirements, there's customers at all levels of sophistication who are expecting multi-channel types of interactions. You know, that's whether through its web, whether through an application, phone, on and on like that. And what they are seeing is that to be able to meet all of the needs of these people is a demanding and it's a disruptive environment for them. And so as a result of that as well, insurance companies were saying that one of the key things they obviously need to do is the industry itself is evolving. And with all of the emerging technologies, insurance companies are grappling with how do you keep pace with that technology? And how do you redirect investments to the business so that you can make sure that operating models that you have give you the ability to collect the data, be able to unlock data, be able to use it in analytics, to be able to imagine experiences that will help you reach out to new clients, keep your existing customer base, be able to understand usage patterns and everything else that is associated with your interactions with your client base as well. And now, one of the things that came out, though, was, well, how is it that insurance companies are doing this? How is it that they are handling this disruption within a really rapidly evolving industry? And what came out of it is many of the insurance companies are saying that they're turning to digital transformation to be able to address these kind of realities. And when they talked about digital transformation, what they were talking about was, if applications are a key and in some cases the only interaction with their clients, then they need to be able to shorten the length of an application development cycle, whether it is market-driven or whether it's individual customer-driven. But they need to be able to shorten the releases, the time between releases, to be able to get new functionality out there that's creating new value, that's allowing them to take advantage of all of the insights that they have developed and been able to identify as well. Another thing that came out of it as well is that DevOps has become a vital component of this digital transformation. And in this case, when we're talking about DevOps, the key value that we're looking for is how do they break down barriers between development teams as well as the operations teams that are in place. And out of one of the surveys that was done, it showed 76% of the people who were surveyed say that DevOps, this ability to be able to break down these barriers, is either very important or somewhat important. And it is something that they are focused on, have started focusing on 2016, 2015, but will at least focus even more over the next couple of years as well. So the kinds of things that are looked at in this digital transformation, being able to break down the barrier, were related to these. How do we break down the barriers to use DevOps to accelerate delivery of innovations? So is there a way that there is a tighter bond between what the development teams are doing and what the operations teams who are focused on production? Is there a way to accelerate the delivery of innovations in a way that gets them out there, gets them pushed out there in a quality and meaningful way for use by the end user clients as quickly as possible? Then the other part was, how do the operations teams reduce their costs so that they can redirect that into investments, into really being able to provide quality services? How does IT operations reduce their costs for being able to deliver these application releases? And so if they have if they're spending less time on fixing problems, doing configuration, on and on like that, it means they'll be able to reduce costs, they'll be able to keep up with the rapid pace of innovation as well. And then another thing that came out of the study as well was that one of the key reasons for wanting to get into DevOps is that it allows development resources to engage with their end users more quickly. They're able to get feedback more quickly from end users, which they can then feed back into the development process to be able to either address those or to be able to make corrections to what's already out there. And then the other part as well that is key, and I'll speak about as well, is that with DevOps adoptions, that APM tools and capabilities are expanding not from just the domain of IT operations, but have expanded into development teams, application owner teams, to be able to decide what is important about an APM, an application performance management tool, who should decide on it, who should own it, who should make use of it. And so I'm going to talk a bit more about that as we go along. But these were some of the key capabilities that were identified that came out of this survey. And I think that as you're looking at this, you can see while these were specific to the insurance industry participants, everything that you're seeing in here really can be applied to almost every industry segment, to almost every customer base that there is. So as I look forward, I just want to be able to give you a bit of a roadmap. So if DevOps is a key component, and insurance companies as well as other industries are saying that in order to handle the market realities, digital transformation is taking place, they are seeing this. They're seeing that digital transformation is driven by rapid and continuous innovation. And when we talk about innovation, how is that delivered? That's delivered through applications. And as I'd mentioned, what came out as well is that in some cases, that an application is the only interface that insurance companies, and indeed many industry segments, have with interacting with the business. So digital transformation, it is absolutely driven by quick, rapid, continuous innovation. Innovation is delivered through applications. And that continuous innovation through applications, it's enabled by being able to put a continuous delivery process in place. And so the idea of, there's a concept of there's information, and instead of it taking months and quarters and even more to be able to go from concept to delivery. In order to meet fast time to market, in order to meet fast time to the feedback that you've received, you need to be able to put in process continuous delivery types of practices. And what we've seen is what's required to do that: organizational changes, architectural changes to the applications themselves, adopting of DevOps practices to make sure that these things are really helping. And so the circle of continuous innovation enabled by a continuous delivery process gives you that closed loop feedback of getting things quickly out to the market, out to your customers, getting feedback from them, being able to ensure that both the application development and support teams, as well as the IT operations teams, are tightly integrated, tightly aware, and working together to really speed up this continuous delivery. And so when we see continuous delivery, that is a key requirement for having a DevOps and DevOps practice. But to bring this closer to the topic of today, APM is absolutely critical to DevOps. So if continuous innovation is driven by applications, and these applications are providing this innovation that's driven by continuous delivery, and you need DevOps, and APM is a key part of DevOps, then you can see the combination of here's how insurance companies, as well as many other industries, are adopting DevOps practices in order to address that rapid change, rapid evolution of the marketplace. Now, in case you can't read the graphs that are on the slide, don't worry, because Kelsey is going to make available to you this presentation. But you'll see on the left-hand side, what came out of the survey was that what were the factors that influenced a company to adopt DevOps? And you'll see the primary reason, over half of application owners said that adopting APM, Application Performance Management, earlier in the app lifecycle was an absolute key factor in adoption of DevOps. And you'll see on the left-hand side, it shows specific to the insurance companies that participated. On the right-hand side, it says all industries. But so the number one was leveraging APM earlier in the dev lifecycle so that by the time it does get into production, it is properly instrumented, properly orchestrated. The visibility and the visualization that's needed for the applications is well known. Everybody understands what information is available, what do they use, how do they get access to it, what kinds of information does it give them, and what analysis they can do, as well as how do they take corrective actions, things like this. But other factors that also adopted, that pushed people to adopt DevOps, if you'll notice, hearing negative feedback from their end users about their experiences with their applications. So by getting faster feedback from end users, it was a key way for them to be able to get that and to be able to react to it quickly. Now, in the case of insurance, the next highest one was the ability to meet performance, application performance SLAs. And while that was important for all industries, in the case of insurance companies, that ability to ensure the performance, that they are meeting their performance SLAs, was the second highest important value for adopting DevOps. And as well, everybody recognized the need for faster time to market is a key reason as well for DevOps. So these are the reasons on the left-hand side for adopting DevOps. And when we looked at the next layer down, which is on the right-hand side graph, DevOps practices currently being used or planned, it was looking at what are the reasons that they are going to adopt, what practices are they going to adopt out of DevOps. And for everyone, continuous application performance monitoring, increasing alignment between the developers and the IT operations teams, so breaking down those barriers. So in addition to adopting APM earlier in the application lifecycle, those teams who have put DevOps practices in place, they highlighted that as part of their top practices, that using it as a process to get timely feedback from their application end users, as well as lowering those barriers between DevOps and teams, is a really, really high priority. So in the case of insurance, not only was it all of that, but it was also ensuring that they had continuous monitoring of the performance of an application as well. So these are some of the key insights that came out of the survey. And while there are some specifics that are for insurance, all industries had a common factor as well, which is the need to leverage APM much earlier in the application lifecycle as a key factor for adopting DevOps and for getting value out of their applications and the changes to the processes that they're putting in place as well. So what I'd like to do then is tell you just a bit more about where does all of this go? What we have seen and what came out of the study as well was that both production teams, the IT operations teams, as well as the application development and support teams, they have both assumed responsibility for putting APM solutions in place, for getting the value out of them that they need in order to ensure that the end users are getting the best experience from your applications possible. But what they have seen as well is that over the next 2 years, there is an anticipation that really there are not going to be the separation of development uses one set of APM tools, IT operations uses a different set of APM tools. There's a merging of these APM roles, lowering that gap between development and operations teams, leading to making use of the same set of tools, the same set of APM tools, to be able to meet the needs of application developers, application support teams, lines of businesses, IT operations teams as well. And that's a key thing that's coming. And so what we've also seen that came out of this study was, well, if we are adopting more APM and we are merging so that we are going to a common APM tool that crosses the needs of operations as well as development, well, what are the objectives? What are the primary objectives that APM needs to provide? And in all cases, whether it's the insurance industry or whether it's all industries, it was preventing application performance issues from arising in the first place. So moving from being reactive, which in the case of many of the respondents to this survey, they said that they were primarily reactive and that their goal is to make use of DevOps and to make use of APM to help them on that journey to being more proactive. So preventing application performance issues from arising in the first place so that any potential issues are caught before they either impact the end users of the applications or impact the business goals that you're trying to achieve with those applications. And then the second one, which was specific for the insurance industry as being the number 2 reason for their objectives of APM, was they want to be able to, in real time, to be able to track what is the performance for applications. And as you'll see when I talk a bit more about it, in the IBM Cloud APM portfolio, we focused on how do you track application performance in real time, and how do you do that from different points of presence, either around the world or from where you create them yourselves. But the idea for insurance was it is absolutely critical to have that visualization of application performance. And the next one, which is also key, was not just performance, being able to visualize it and to track it, but to be able to do better diagnostics of a performance issue so that the application support teams, IT operations, anybody else involved with it, are able to more easily identify what was the issue, what are the things you need to do in order to restore that service and get back up, get that service up and running more quickly again. And then the next one that came out that was key is analytics. Being able to integrate analytics with an APM solution so that you are doing predictive views and getting insights in predicting, are there problems that are going to occur? Are there bottlenecks that are going to occur? Analyzing the data, understanding what happened by looking through logs, seeing what information is available from metrics, what events are occurring and alerts that were occurring in the running of these applications as well. So implementing an APM was key in these areas. And as a result of that, what I would like to do is invite you to read this white paper that IBM has put out that talks about, in this case, an insurance perspective. And you'll see there's a link for that to get that one. But we also have a full white paper that doesn't just focus on insurance. It focuses on the entire survey that was done with the 519 clients, so that you can see even more insights, regardless of which industry, regardless of which perspective that you're looking at. And then as well, I'll point out that one of my colleagues, Brenda Christopher, has been blogging about our global study as well, and so there's a chance to get an offering manager's point of view as well on the entire global study. So with that, that's the context of looking at what are the insights that came out of that global study. And now what I would like to do is move us to IBM's APM offering. And I'd like to talk about why IBM's Cloud APM offering. And IBM has been in the application performance management space and marketplace for a long time. And we've had a simple message and a simple focus. We want to be able to identify performance issues before they either impact the end users of your application environments or before it impacts any of the business goals that those applications are put in place to ensure. And what we've focused on is how do we provide full support out of the box for as many application environments as you are telling us are the key ones for your application environments. And how do we make use of IBM's analytics to be able to predict potential outages and to be able to give you an understanding of, well, what were the root causes of these either problems that have occurred or the potential problems that look like they are forming now. And then the other key value is to be able to isolate. So with applications that have become so much more complicated, so many more parts to them, to be able to isolate, well, where are the bottlenecks? It requires a set of tools to be able to help you isolate that. And that is a focus of IBM's APM, to be able to give you that view of where is there a bottleneck and to be able to understand what's the end user's experience with your application if these bottlenecks are occurring. And the idea behind that is so that you can make sure that your end users are getting the kind of experience with your applications that you demand, and allows you to ensure that you can meet the SLAs, the performance SLAs that are important to your business as well. And then the third area that's key in IBM's APM, you would use it because you want to be able to diagnose and repair where are the problems and to be able to identify the source of those issues. And in some cases, to be able to even diagnose down to the line of code in the application that is causing the performance problem. So the idea behind it is we have focused for many years on APM, and we are focused on identifying before issues become impacting. If there are issues, be able to quickly isolate it so that you can get down to diagnosis, root cause analysis, and restoration of the service so that it has as minimal an impact as possible for you. So if I move on from there, just going down a bit, the kinds of capability that we provide in IBM's APM capability. So you can see on here, in the center is the kind of a typical application that we are seeing. So over the course of the last few years, there has been a big shift in the way applications are constructed, in the way they're put together, in the way they're used. And the idea with many cloud-native applications that have been built that are primarily systems of engagement, or the key way that the end users of those applications interact with your business and with their applications. And in many cases, insurance companies, as well as all other industries, have said that these systems of engagement type applications are differentiators for them, with them and their competitors as well. And the idea is that an application would be built primarily with new cloud-native technologies and components, frameworks, databases, languages, and to be able to connect them primarily via APIs to the systems of record. So those are the set of applications that have been in place for many years, that are traditionally data center resident, that could be monolithic, but they are all of the key capabilities that make up the systems of record types of applications, including access from everywhere from distributed platforms to mainframe platforms and in between. And so IBM's cloud capability, we have focused on, for sure, giving you that visibility that says, here is resource monitoring. We collect the metrics from all of the infrastructure, so from the operating systems, the virtualization layer, app servers, web servers, database servers, application components, and being able to capture all of those metrics, being able to alert on problems with them, being able to take all of that information, feed it into analytics so that you can have dynamic thresholding, so you don't even have to worry about, well, when should I be alerted? Because with IBM's analytics, it can learn the normal behavior of your application and only do alerts when it goes outside of that normal behavior. And then other capabilities, we call them transactions tracking. So this is the ability to discover all of the components that make up this application and their dependencies, the dependencies between each of them, and to be able to report on, here's the response time between each component within your application environment. And the idea of that is being able to clearly isolate and to visualize, here's the performance bottlenecks that are occurring in your application. And as well, being able to use end-user monitoring, both synthetic as well as real user, to be able to monitor what's the kind of response time that an end user is having of this application from different points of presence around the world, as well as from different points that you've defined behind your own firewalls as well. And the idea behind that one is you get both a real-time as well as synthetic understanding of what is the performance and availability of my application. Other areas that we have focused on as well is at our code-level diagnostic. So where it makes sense, being able to have deep dive diagnostics, to be able to do traces of method calls, SQL queries, and even be able to get down to pointing to the line of code that is causing poor performance as well. And then as well, something that we're focused on for the future, it's called deployment impact. So the idea of, if you are in continuous delivery, you want to be able to analyze the impact of code changes on deployment of each push of your application. And the idea is to be able to show you, here's the impact of pushing out these applications on the performance of the application. So you can tell, oh, with what I just pushed out, here's where it has impacted the performance of this application. Currently, that's available in our Bluemix environment, but we are focused on how do we provide that outside of the Bluemix environment as well. And then the next area, of course, is dashboarding. So we want to be able to provide for you a unified dashboard that allows you to bring in the view of your applications and application environment end to end. So you get to see, if you're in IT operations, that end-to-end view of all of the resources within the company and how they're functioning. Or if you are a line of business, or if you are an application owner, you can have it so that you're seeing only your own application and the resources that are part of your applications as well. But these are easy to use, easy to customize dashboards to make it work for who is the user, who's looking to get value out of this, what kind of information are they looking for in order to be able to do their jobs, and ultimately to be able to provide the best experience for the end users of the application environment. So as I move forward from there, what I'd like to tell you about is our IBM Cloud Application Performance Management portfolio. So what we have done is we have focused on simplifying our product portfolio to the point where we are down to 2 core offerings. And those core offerings are organized based upon who it's targeted for its usage. And so you can see at the top of this slide, we have 2 core offerings: IBM Cloud APM Base and IBM Cloud APM Advanced. And on the left-hand side, you'll see APM Base. That is a set of capabilities that's primarily focused on what IT operations teams are looking for. Application-aware infrastructure monitoring. Here's all of the infrastructure that they are responsible for, and they want to be able to understand the impact on the infrastructure, whether it's at the OS level, whether it's at a virtualization layer, whether it's a web server, an app server, a database server. But it gives them the kind of information that they need to quickly understand what's going on, and to be alerted, of course, if there are problems that are occurring. And then on the right-hand side, what we've done is we have focused on IBM Cloud APM Advanced. And so it has all of the capabilities that is in APM Base, which is targeted for IT operations, but it also brings into it the capabilities that lines of businesses or application owners, application support teams, and developers have said are absolutely critical and part of an APM. And that is the capabilities that allow them to focus on what's the end user's experience with this application, giving you that end-to-end transactions tracking view. So from many different points of presence around the world, being able to get a real sense of here is the real performance of this application, and giving you that visibility of each of the hops that it makes in that application environment, so you can quickly pinpoint performance bottlenecks. And as well for developers and application subject matter experts, providing the deep dive diagnostics they need to quickly understand what was going on, what is going on, and get down to root cause analysis as quickly as possible. And in addition to that, in IBM Cloud APM Advanced, we also provide additional application-level resource monitoring. So for SAP environments, for IBM's MQ and IIB environments, goes on and on like that as well. So in addition to this, so we have these 2 core offerings, IBM Cloud APM Base, IBM Cloud APM Advanced. And what we have is, it's a single application performance management tool that gives you deployment flexibility. You can either deployment as a SaaS offering that IBM hosts, you can have it as an on-premises deployment, or you can have it as a hybrid where you decide what part that you want to have as a SaaS hosted offering, what do you want to have as APM in your own data centers as well. And in addition to those core offerings, we also have tightly integrated add-ons. So we have things called extension packs that have things for specialized domains. So for example, specific monitoring for SAP HANA, for AWS, for Citrix, things like this. And we also have, as a tightly integrated add-on, in the middle it says IBM Operations Analytics Predictive Insights. It's a long name, but that is IBM's capability made with Watson Analytics, and that is the one that will learn the normal behavior of your application environment and be able to send out alerts when your application is not performing within the normal behavior bounds. And what it'll also be able to do is, because it is analyzing all of the data that APM is providing, it is also able to come back and say, here are all of the reasons that this performance problem was occurring. Here are all of the metrics, regardless of whether it was on the app server, a database server, web server, anywhere in between. Here are all of the metrics that are tightly related and that are showing that this is the cause of the problem. And the value of that is it helps you understand more quickly than if you're not using these analytics where are your performance problems and what's causing them. And the idea behind it as well is it helps you predict, are there going to be potential problems that are occurring? And by being able to do these analytics now, you are getting enough warning to be able to take actions before they start impacting end users, before they start impacting the business as well. And then on the right-hand side, we have an add-on called IBM Cloud APM Availability Monitoring. And this is our synthetic monitoring that allows you to, from multiple points of presence around the world, as well as from points of presence you define behind your own firewalls, to be able to understand what is the availability and the performance of your web-based applications, of APIs. You'll be able to run Selenium-based scripts as well, so that you get a clear understanding of, here's the performance of my application, and here's who's impacted by any performance problems. And within IBM Cloud APM, you can get that down to a user. You can find out who are the users who are being impacted by geographical location as well. Now, the next part at the bottom of here, people come to IBM not for a point product, come to IBM to be able to have a solution that allows us to integrate lots of capabilities across IBM's broad portfolio. And so there are some key capabilities that I call extended capabilities. There is a solution called IBM Alert Notification. You can have it so that if an alert is generated in IBM's Cloud APM, it can be sent to the IBM Alert Notification offering, where it will do the management of alerting and manage escalations if somebody is not taking appropriate actions quickly enough. And it has lots of capabilities. It has lots of ability to filter. It has the ability to send alerts, by SMS or text, by voicemail, by email. If you have Slack, by sending Slack messages as well. So it's a key integration for being able to get alerts and to be able to set up a really well-managed escalation path and process for it as well. The other extended capability is an offering called IBM Runbook Automation, which is, as the name says, it is where you could create and maintain runbooks, and you could have it so that if there is an alert or an event that gets generated from the APM portfolio, it can generate the running of a runbook and generate automated tasks being executed as well from IBM Runbook Automation. And then the other extended capability I'll mention is one that's related to digital performance management. And it's the idea of being able to tie together the kinds of insights that you get from APM with the types of insights that you get about how your customers, how your end users of your applications are using your application itself. Being able to tie together the kind of insights that you get from both APM as well as business insights on how your users are actually using and progressing through your applications. And the name of that product is called IBM Customer Experience Analytics, and our direction for that one is to be able to help you understand just that. If you are seeing that your users of your applications are either not going all the way through, or they're abandoning carts, or they are stopping at a certain point in the flow of the application, you'd be able to understand why they're doing that, and also be able to relate that to, are there infrastructure or application reasons related to that, as opposed to the logic of the application itself. So these are key things related to the portfolio, and that you'll see that we have focused it on who is going to be using it, what kind of information is important to them, and then making it available in a way to understand it in the terms that they need. And at the same time, there is a lot of capability in IBM's Cloud APM portfolio. And so what we've seen is that, you can start anywhere. You don't have to adopt every capability that is within APM as I've described it. You can start anywhere and extend depending on, do you have additional needs, or are you looking for deeper insights, or are there different roles that are now going to be taking advantage of the capabilities that are in APM. And so you'll see that while many of the capabilities are kind of targeted first to either IT ops or to app owners or lines of businesses, developers, all of those capabilities are available to everybody. And you can decide for yourself where to start, how to extend, how to get more and more value out of APM to really drive getting the best experience for your end users of your applications as well. So if I move forward from there, what I wanted to tell you as well is we have a website that has a consolidation of lots of information about IBM Cloud APM. So all you have to remember is ibm.biz/explore APM, and it gives you all this information. You can click on a button to get an interactive demo so that you get to see what does IBM Cloud APM look like, what's its flow, how does it show the information. This is, it's using canned data, so this interactive demo really gives you a view of what's the capabilities of APM, how does it work together. There's also, you can ask for a free trial so that you can try APM with your own data as well. And as well, there's buttons to be able to go to IBM Marketplace, so you can find lots of information on IBM Marketplace about APM, as well as the entire IBM portfolio. And there are links to be able to go to our blogs, our forums, to get access to documentation, to be able to have communications with both the development team as well as support teams. So this is a great place for you to find out more information as well, and to be able to make your decisions about the value of APM by going through here as well. So at this point, what I wanted to be able to do is just take you to something as well that people have asked about. And so I've been asked about, what about using this with IBM's middleware stack? And so what I want to show you as well is that one of the key things that IBM Cloud APM, in addition to all of the key application environments that clients have said is key for IBM to support, we also do have a focus on IBM's middleware stack as well. And so we focus on how do we provide resource monitoring, transactions tracking, deep dive diagnostics for the IBM middleware stack. And so that would be, for example, for WebSphere App Server, so the WAS family, for IBM MQ, IBM Integration Bus data power, and what we've just recently added was for IBM's API Connect, being able to monitor both the API Connect infrastructure as well as being able to monitor, as part of our transactions tracking, the APIs that are included in your applications as well. And we have focused on ensuring that we can provide that monitoring on all of the key platforms that IBM provides as well. So it's something that, as you can see, while we focus on how do we provide an APM solution for you regardless of the platform that you're using, we do have widest and the deepest coverage, in our opinion, in the industry for IBM's middleware stack as well. All right, so at that point, what I would like to do is jump back a bit to now DevOps. And so I'm going to go to one slide where I want to talk about, in the context of DevOps, what kinds of things are we doing to fit into current DevOps practices, DevOps tool chains. We are focused on how do we deliver IBM's APM as part of multi-speed IT, where multi-speed means IT operations has a specific set of capabilities, processes, a level of change that they are responsible for, whereas there are many application teams who are focused on how quickly can they address user needs, how quickly can they get new applications or updates to applications out there to address market shifts or customer needs, things like this. And we want to be able to say and show you how does IBM's offerings fit into this type of a DevOps solution. So what we've focused on, if you remember, talked about continuous innovation is driven by continuous delivery. And within continuous delivery, you need DevOps. And within continuous DevOps, you need APM to ensure that you have continuous availability and performance of your application environment. So as you are putting your DevOps practices and tool chains together, IBM's APM is an absolute fit and key in there as part of your manage component of your DevOps practices. And as mentioned, as part of continuous availability, you can make use of IBM's Cloud APM. And in addition to IBM's Cloud APM, remember there's other parts that you could look at it adding to your DevOps tool chain. And that would be alert notification for detecting, getting notification of the applications out there, of the application problems. Making use of the availability monitoring service that is part of IBM Cloud APM to be able to understand the response times of applications around the world. And then also making use of IBM's runbook automation as one of the key tools within your DevOps tool chain to be able to build, manage, execute runbooks for common problems in the operational environment, as well as being able to have them so that they are run when there is an alert or an event that is occurring in the APM environment as well. So with that, I'd like to stop at this point and say thanks for listening to me. And what I wanted to be able to do is ask about any questions. So Kelsey, if you can still hear me, is there anything that we need to do in order to open up for questions?
No, all they'll have to do is just put their questions in the Q&A widget there on the screen, and you'll be able to get to those.
Okay. All right, so why don't we give people a minute or two to decide on that. But if not, what we'll do is we're going to make this presentation available to you. It has links to all of the key areas, and I recommend that you go out and you use these links to be able to find out more information about IBM's Cloud APM, to look at it to see the kind of value that it can provide to you, either as somebody who is part of an insurance industry or as somebody regardless of the industry market segment that you're in, the value that IBM's APM can provide to you as well. So at this stage, Kelsey, I think that I think we are at the end of today's webcast.
Okay, so if there's no additional questions, we'll go ahead and wrap it up. Again, we will have the recording and slides available tomorrow in the webcast archives. Stay tuned for a follow-up email with a link to download those. And that concludes today's webcast, everyone. Thank you again, and thanks, Aaron, for presenting.
Oh, my pleasure. And bye, everyone. Hope to talk to you again very soon.
Goodbye.